Good Tuesday morning, and welcome to ICE ACV, the Internal Combustion Engine Age, a YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and motorcycles and SUVs, addictions and dogs and whatever, the kid, life. Morning there, thanks for tuning my channel. If you're a regular or a new subscriber or whatever, hey, appreciate you watching my videos in the morning. If you'd like to hear me talk and share my views and ideas and stories of my life, of my constant car stories and addictions. Yeah, so I have challenges in my life, and they're all tied to these vehicles that have engines in them. What is that all about? Where did that come from? Did it come from my dad's Uncle Jack? My dad claims to me that his uncle was a big car enthusiast guy. What gene in my body got me to be the car addict? I just don't know. I don't think it came from my mom's side. It'd be more like my dad's side, but oh my gosh, what am I doing today? What am I doing? Hat on. How many times have you seen me with a Ram hat on? What does that mean, right? What's the implications of the Ram hat? What am I selling now to have a Ram? What am I buying now? So yesterday's conversations, come on, Bubbies, let's go. Yesterday's conversation was the buying. What are you buying? What have I bought? Yeah, it's always an adventure because I'm always out buying something. If you watch my channel, and today I thought today would be the conversation of selling. Sell. What do I sell? I'm kind of amazed I've never even talked about that. I'm sure I have in some way, but yeah, that's one thing about me. I'm always buying things, but I also have to sell things to be able to buy something. And yes, for many years, I have added cars without selling cars. But then what happened? Our driveway just starts to expand, which is way too many vehicles. Come on, Bubbies! Come on, get in here. So, beautiful morning. Just a beautiful October morning here. It's hard to believe today's the 24th of October. Jesus Christ. I mean, but it's just beautiful up here. We were supposed to have really nice warm weather coming up this weekend. I mean, motorcycle riding weather for sure. So here's the shop. Here's the Plum Crazy Super B. It's dangerous. This thing is so much fun. This Dodge Super B is so much fun that I would truly be very content just owning this vehicle and not even having the Dodge Hellcat Redeye. I mean, some people are like, oh man, you're nuts. Yeah, but until you own these vehicles, until you see how expensive they are, you make the monthly payments, and you drive them, then you kind of start to figure it out. Because the cars are so similar. I mean, that's what's so nice about these Dodge SRT, Scat Pack, Super Body, basically the 392 setup, is there's so much every bit of the higher end Hellcat product. I mean, yes, there's definitely definitely differences in the cars, but overall, for the most part, the enjoyment of driving the car is just so enjoyable. These cars really are. I mean, these cars are just so much fun, but I can't emphasize enough that the Dodge 392 Scat Pack Super B, the wide body package, it's just a truly fun car. And what I like about this car is this car has the adaptive cruise control in it, which is this little button pretty here. What's pretty cool about this setup here is you have regular cruise control, or you have the adaptive. So if people don't like adaptive, they just hit this button, regular cruise control. If you like adaptive, hit that button. And it does a great job. So I live out of my cars. I've got how many miles? I bought this thing Saturday evening. I have 246 miles on it. So I'm driving this car. I love it. The kid's like, it's mine. I'm like, it's ours. It's like, it's mine, but I'll let you. The daughter's like, it's mine, but I'll let you drive it. Like, okay, gee, thanks a lot. So, wow, here's the Ford Mustang GT. What happened to that, right? What happened to all the fun and enthusiasm? This thing's been kicked to the curb. I'm sure some people are like, hey, Iceman, you were all riled up in this Ford Mustang GT. Suppose you bought all these parts of the damn thing, but now you're all over this damn Super B. And you're right, I am, because I just love the way this Super B looks. It's such the era of me growing up, seeing these really cool color cars back in the 70s. As a little kid, only wishing one day I could have something look like that back in the 70s. Over here's all the parts all bundled up here. And yeah, I need to call my selling Ford dealer, Keys Welcome Ford, and see if we can drop this thing off and have them install those parts that Steeda sold me. And so anyways, the brand new Plum Crazy Super B, this car here is a huge win for me. It really is. And these big ass tires and wheels, it makes this thing feel such like the race car. And I mean, it really does make you just feel like, wow. It just has a really incredible fun factor feel to this vehicle, which that's what it's all about to me. When you buy a car or whatever, it's all about getting behind the wheel of that car and a smile on your face. I mean, isn't that what it's all about? And that's like this Ram hat. You're probably like, why the Ram hat? Ah, jeez. It just doesn't end. So for me, it kind of gets deep. And, you know, I just sometimes think, how much do I share? But here's the challenge. See that Gold Rush Challenger over there? If you watch my channel, you know the story of me buying that from Carvana. I bought that from Carvana. And only way I could get this car, which is just one of a few, was by signing off on a huge interest rate. Yes, I'm a crazy man. You know, hear me talk about these interest rates. But the only way I get this deal done, I have too many vehicles. If you look at my collection of cars, when banks look at my credit, they get very worried because there's just too much exposure. And what you don't know is I have business vehicles in my business name that I don't even have to personally guarantee that they don't even see those vehicles. So as an example, when a credit company pulls my report, they have no idea this car exists, okay? Because this is in my business name. You see this Jeep up here? They have no idea I own that Jeep. They have no idea I own that F450. They have no idea I own that Raptor. They have no idea I own that F-150 Power Boost. They have no idea I own the white Mustang, the Ram, the two Jeeps over there that walk out the front door. Those are all my company name, and so you pull my personal credit report, they don't see those. What they see is I own a Ford Mustang Mach-E over there. They see that I own a Ford F-150 Lightning. They see I own a F-250 Tremor truck. They will see in the garage here that I own the Dodge Charger Redeye. So for the car side, they have no idea I have like 10 more vehicles. If they knew that, there's probably most of them to reject me all day long. Now, when it comes to motorcycles, they do see all the motorcycles. But that's looked at differently because these are more of a leisure, a toy. That's a concern for people that lend money to the motorcycle side because people will dump those first in hard times. Okay, for anybody who watches my channel, like, well, okay, you know, you kind of disclosing a lot of information there. Yeah, well, that's how I'm very creative of being able to own all these cars because I'd have to be making millions of dollars a year to qualify. I don't make that type of money. I mean, some people think I'm just this millionaire guy. I'm not. I'm a guy who just makes car payments. And so where does that all go? Well, it all goes to this. I've got this Dodge Challenger Gold Rush that I bought from Carvana last year and at a 29.9% interest rate, even though today, what's crazy, even though when I signed off on that over a year ago, I thought I was crazy, which I was. But what's crazy now is people are signing off on 20, 24, 26, 28, 29% interest rates on cars. So my plan was I'll refinance this car. That was the goal. So I was just like, okay, I get this car, I give myself some time, yeah, right, to pay on this car, but then I'm going to get out of it and refinance it. That plan didn't work out too well. So for me, this past spring, you'll see me selling this Gold Rush. And people thought I was crazy. And yeah, crazy. But I had to get out of that note. But I got very creative on taking that car and trading that car in to get I believe, the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. But at the same time, I didn't want to lose the car. So we did a trade, and they gave me good value on that car to go towards the Wagoneer. But then we reversed it back to get it in my personal name. And I could not pull that off. Yeah. So it went down to the wire that now I'm getting ready. The 1 in 34 Dodge Challenger Redeye Hellcat, 1 of 34 built in this color, this theme, the Gold Rush, the black hood, hood pins, black roof, black rear trunk. It's a very rare run car with the Redeye, aka Demon motor. And so here's the dilemma. I'm very close, and I've taken very good care of my father and family over the years. And I've bought my dad many trucks, and I've bought my family things as well. So my father qualified to buy that car. Yeah. So this past spring, at the last second, we got the bank to buy the deal at a very low rate because my dad has a really good high credit score. So that car is my dad's name, but I pay for the car. Okay. Well, breaking news. I never knew this. If I'd known this past spring, I may have maybe not done what I've done. My dad is looking to move out of his house and buy a different house. So now his, not so-called the banker, but his real estate guy or whoever it may be, is calling me saying, hey, man, that nice, car you have sitting in your garage that you're paying for, you got to get that out of your dad's name for him to qualify for a house. Huh. I'm like, are you kidding me? So now I've got a challenge. I've got the next basically 30 to 60 days to make a decision what I'm going to do with this car. Yeah, and for me to get financing that car on my own, it'll be challenging. I'm not saying I can't do it. It's possible. There's variables, so now I'm having to weigh my options. What am I going to do? The dilemmas. Here's the Hellcat Charger, Redeye. This thing here, what's crazy here in the market on selling cars, I kind of doing my research. And what's very interesting is the non-Redeye cars on the Hellcat side aren't getting really big numbers. The Redeye side, on the new side, seem to be getting big numbers because they're very hard to get them. So, and my goal from day one has been for me to sell this Gold Rush when the market's just right. And my gut feeling has always been a very conservative $125,000, $150,000 car. Gut instinct has been once people find out that you can't go to the Dodge dealership and order yourself a Hellcat and a Redeye anymore, the value of that car is really going to start to appreciate. But that's probably next year. It's probably a good year away before the dynamics of these really start to pick up value. Could that be a $200,000 car? I don't know. So, total bummer. I got that phone call yesterday. So now, craziness, I'm like, okay, do I just part with these? Does the dealership give me really decent money for both these cars? And do I go to a Ram TRX? And here's the challenge. The damn dealer that where I live has a guy that's richer than me that bought a Ram TRX. I call it the Desert Storm Edition. But it's that tan colored vehicle. You'll see the video of me yesterday in a short of me driving that car, and the guy modded it with exhaust, air intake, and it's a beautiful truck. And it's the first real Ram, besides the one I tried to do a deal on here a while back, that I really do like. It's a badass truck. So, sense of the deal, it would really require me probably to dump both these vehicles for that. And am I nuts? Yeah, I don't disagree. I'd be here watching my channel. They'd be like, wow, you're going to give up those two Hellcat Redeyes for that deal? And some would say, well, why, if you could pull that deal off, why couldn't you pull off the Redeye Gold Rush? I don't know. That's what I'm saying to you. There's lots of variables right now. I just don't know. I've already bought that car twice. Do I want to buy it a third time? And that's the challenge. Do I really want to buy back that Challenger now for the third time? And another part of me is, I've had my day with these cars, and in so many aspects, for me, in all sincereness, if I could cut the debt and the payments down to half of what they are, and have an SRT, have the 392 setup Challenger wide body, I'd probably take that. But the real goal has been for me to sell those Hellcat Redeyes and make a good amount of money out of them. I mean, that's been the real goal. I'm a guy that I have my day, my flair with the car, and I move on. I'm just not the guy that's going to keep a car for 20, 30 years. That's not who I am. So, and some people would be like, no, man, you never get rid of that car. That car's a huge expense. That's a $100,000 car. Those are $100,000 cars out there. You just run the numbers. How much do you think those monthly payments are on those cars? I mean, sincerely. And then you have insurance. And then if you live in Loudoun County, you can have the personal property tax. I mean, so that's huge amounts of money. But at the same time, if you do it right, and I time it right, and I make 25 grand to 50 grand off of each car per se, if I paid 100 for it, and I sold for 150, sure, you got to pay interest on payments, stuff like that, but still, you're going to make a good 30, 40 grand, which that's not too shabby. And between the two of them, I've always thought that I could, very conservative, make 50 grand between the two of them. Can I make 100 grand? Maybe. But now, with my father wanting to buy a house, that's changing the dynamics on how this all starts to play out. So, I've always wanted the Ram TRX, but then I haven't. And what's really crazy is, any of you out there watching my channel, do not buy an iPhone for video. If you want to buy an iPhone for video capability, do not do it. It's a piece of junk. These iPhones, they are the worst when it comes to making YouTube videos. I have a Samsung latest, greatest Galaxy phone, and I can't emphasize enough to you that iPhone is so aggravating. So I didn't go to the dealership yesterday. Here's the irony. It's always the same old story. I went up to the dealers. I had to go up to the bank yesterday, late in the afternoon. And then I said to myself, I'm going to go by the Dodge dealership and start kind of feeling them out, what they would pay for that gold rush. And then I said, well, I don't know. What would you maybe pay for the Dodge Charger Frostbite Blue, Redeye? So then it turns into, they've got a Ram TRX truck that's been sitting there since July. I know about that. And it turns into me wanting to test drive the truck. And oh my gosh, if you watch my short video, you'll see me. And do I add this to this here? I don't know. It gets complicated, do all that stuff. But whole point is, it feels more powerful than any other TRX I've driven. First of all, it has more of an open exhaust, has an air intake. And the guy spent a bloody fortune on putting a protective film where it's got like a matte finish to it, and different stickers. And it's a really clean truck. It's a really badass Ram TRX truck. So for me, I've said it so many times, why the heck wouldn't I own a Ram TRX truck? Me being the Mopar guy. I mean, here's another part of me says, just to keep the flair going, I trade the two Redeyes for a Ram TRX and then an SRT Swinger Edition Dodge Challenger. That's like the last run. Or they had the jailbreak, and there's so many different names out there, I'm not even really keeping track. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. So, but here's the challenge. I talk about selling. That's been my challenge my whole life, is I have to give something up. I have to sell something to get something. And I've had so many nice cars over the years, and that's what you hear. It's interesting. We hear buyer's remorse. How many people have you heard the story to go buy something and they regret buying it? But I tell you what, how many of your friends, family have told you there's seller's remorse? Where somebody, like a good friend of mine, Chris, he's so, right now, comments how he sold his Harley Davidson Road King, and he so regrets selling that. He has such seller's remorse on letting that go. And even for me, like I had to let go because of financial reasons back in 2008-9, my Dodge Viper truck, SRT 10 Night Edition, two-door. And oh my gosh, I mean, that's a vehicle there that, I wish I would have kept that, just because that's such a rare truck, never to be again, cool-looking truck. And even to today, for its, technology, I mean, oh my gosh, I mean, so wow, if I could have kept that. Would I love to pick one up again in one day? Yeah, I would. But the only thing about that truck is it's a cool-looking truck. The Viper motor's cool, but it doesn't really ride or drive that great. It's badass. It's nice. but it's the Hurst shifter. It's a long shift. So it's neat, but at the same time, so who there that's watching my channel, has had your sellers remorse. I mean, there's very young people that have the Corvette, the Camaro, the motorcycle. They get married, and then they have to put their priorities, in place of their fun, and that's what we know. I'm guaranteeing there's so many people that are my age that can say, "Oh yeah, when I was younger, I had some really nice things, but then I got married, I had kids and family to raise." And, you have to start to pick and choose what's more important. And for me, there's the challenge. I have a father and family and brothers and sisters that, I'm going to have to cross the bridge. Okay, well, let's just hope for the best and make it all work out. And yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. But for me, I'm the guy like, okay, so to satisfy me selling that, and that's the challenge that I've always have had. If I let go of something nice, then it's like, well, I've got to have something nice back. And for me, I don't know. It's really going to come down to more so if I had some pretty healthy numbers, then I would definitely consider it. But you have to remember, so you're not thinking about it here, is if they sell me the Hellcat Redeye Gold Rush and it's a really healthy number that would help me buy the Ram TRX, there's the danger. And some would be like, well, why don't you just, they just take it, they buy it outright from your father, and then they just sell it back to you. Which, yes, we could, but the car still has a pretty big high note on the car, and then I'm back to trying to maintain to keep that car to the what if one day that I sell it. Now, if I was on the page, I want it forever, that's a whole different story, but that's not who I am. And the other thing is that is going on in the automotive world, as I've talked about many times here recently, is Stellantis is starting to pitch a different tune. Stellantis is really starting to sound like they're going to have an ICE vehicle in the next round of the performance Mopar products. And so to me, that could change things very quickly. I mean, sincerely, if you could get the new Dodge Daytona, aka the Charger replacement, the Banshee edition, and it had an ICE motor in it and a hybrid setup, and it was an 850 to 900 horsepower car, and it was, let's just say, $100,000 car maybe, versus you could buy a Redeye that's really nice, and it's 100 or 150. So I know it all comes down to what the flair, what gets your eyes excited, but at the same time, I think the next generation Mopar performance product there's no doubt in my mind it's going to be the baddest ass yet. But we've all been on the negative side of that, is it's going to be electric. But that tune is changing, and that's what's going on in the automotive world. Is it's being talked about more than ever that the selling, that's the message this morning, is sales sell, and the irony to this is that's who I am. That's my true beginnings of me becoming successful is through my salesmanship. And I would tell you straight up, in high school, I would have told you there's no way I would be a person that would be out talking to people and approaching people. That wasn't who I was. I was a very shy individual. I was not the person to go up and start talking just to anybody or get in front of an audience or get in front of the class and to make a presentation. That was not who I was. So, but I evolved into sales because I've read Harvard business books and different. I just did a lot of reading when I was very young. I didn't go to college, and I just really got the constant message that sales is so important to develop your people skills, and that aspect opens the door for you to do many other things. And that's a key thing to many big businesses and companies that have leaders is majority of the time, not always, the leaders had sales positions, people skills. And so the selling aspect of the big three right now, I mentioned it last week. General Motors has announced that they're going to delay their big manufacturing plant up there in Detroit to be built for electric vehicles by a year. They're going to hold it off. Ford is seeing that the sales of electric vehicles isn't by any means what they thought it was. So Ford Jim Farley is pulling back, and now the presentation, his sales pitch now is that the hybrid setup is probably the more reasonable thing that people want to buy, and for the dealerships to be able to sell. And even for me here, just on my own little car lot out there, those electric vehicles I have, to sell one of those, I'd have to write a big check. For those two vehicles, I would probably have to spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to get those cars. People are like, are you kidding me? Like, no, I'm not kidding you. that Ford Lightning truck a year ago was a $100,000 truck. I'd be lucky to get $60,000 for that truck right now. That's $40,000. I mean, sure. Do I owe that amount on it still? No. But I paid $100,000. It's worth $60,000. I'd probably have to write a $30,000 check over to that truck. The Ford Mustang Mach-E, that car there was like 70, 72. So that thing's probably worth 48. I mean, maybe. I mean, it may be. But here's the thing. The dealers don't want them. Because the sales, if you're a salesman at these dealerships, I can guarantee you, they would be like, there's just no money. There's no sales. I mean, for me as a salesperson, that margin in that product is so low, there's just not really much there of anything for me to be excited to sell it. I'd rather go sell some regular Ford F-150 truck. I'd rather sell somebody an Expedition, Explorer. I'd rather sell somebody a Mustang. So the reason I'm talking about this is these Hellcat Redeyes I have, what if the sales direction on the Mopar Performance side is hearing and witnessing the buying, people wanting to buy these electric vehicles, and they really are like the guy Tim Konuskis is, his like, hey, look, the forums, the forum community, the general audience, we're watching other big manufacturers, and in the American domestic side here, these people just really don't want these electric vehicles, and we're making a huge mistake of thinking we're going to sell these high performance Mopar products. Because who's their base? And that's what you have to think about, is who right now is the base from people buying these electric vehicles. And I talk about it. I think that the sales of the initial people that are really into all the green agenda, the electric vehicle, all that stuff, I think that they've seen that base kind of gobble up that market. But the majority of the base isn't that type of person. And who has the money? And so that's the thing about the Mopar Performance. Are you really going to spend $100,000 for a Banshee electric vehicle? When I'm sure a lot of people would be like, I'd rather pick up the used Hellcat for $100,000, $125,000. Because those are going to be out there. A lot of people like me, what I've talked about, are going to try to accomplish the same thing. They're going to flip these things eventually and try to make their money off of them. So they'll be floating around for quite a while. I think the SRT 392 packages will be floating around a lot. And so anyways, the reason I'm saying this over and over again is if Stellantis at the last second says, okay, the next Mopar product's ICE, and this is the power, and what happens to the value of the cars I have? Is it a radical difference? I don't know. I mean, sincerely, I don't know. I've got mixed feelings of that because I think that there's so many diehard Mopar enthusiasts out there that really want these body style car that they're still going to pay premium price these cars. And the Redeyes, just so you know, the Redeye Dodge Hellcat. So it kind of gets confusing. But when you go to the Dodge product, the original sale of 2014, 2015 actual model year. So if you go back to 2014, which is so crazy, that's 9 years ago. We're getting close to 10 years ago that Tim Konuskis did the Hellcat reveal of a 707 horsepower supercharged 6.2 liter car. And the domestic side here went nuts. And they announced it would be under $60,000. It'd be a $50,000 range car. I've got to get out. I really have to take the time to get out my Mopar purchases and show them a Rooney sticker. And I was going to do that this morning, But I never took the time yesterday evening to go through all my boxes and dig up all these cars I bought. But I really do want to get the Maruni stickers out and start showing you the cars I bought on the Mopar side, the Dodge, Hellcat, non-Hellcat, and just kind of see the pricing, where it's all gone. So we can all kind of look at it together and go, wow, it's just crazy in the last 8 years of what has happened in the automotive world of selling these vehicles that have become so expensive. And so when Tim Knuskis released that first Hellcat generation car, it was a narrow body. They didn't have the wide body. And it was a 707 horsepower car. Well, then the Demon came along in 2018. And the Demon started to change everything, because then it became the wide body setup car that created the wide body look to the Challenger. And they made this into an all-out race motor of 840 horsepower on race gas. And otherwise, 808 or whatever it is. And so you can only get 3,000 of them. I had the chance to buy one, but I just didn't like the way it was set up. And I couldn't get excited about spending that type of money, because I had a $62,000 Hellcat. And now they're wanting me to pay, like $100,000 for a Hellcat. I just couldn't taste it. And so even though, if you would have bought one, I would have done it right and flipped it, I could have made 25, 50 grand, no doubt. But anyways, the whole point of that is the Redeye in 2019, Dodge then took the Demon motor. The Demon motor, just so you know, the Demon motor is a whole different motor from the regular 707 horsepower motor. One's an orange block, and one is a black block. Like up in the top cylinder heads, you can see there's black, like a regular Hellcat. It's orange. The cylinder heads up top are all painted the Mopar orange, and then the Demon motor, aka the Redeye, that is the black upper cylinder head colors, as far as the exterior goes, and aesthetics. And so that's the stronger built motor. So if anybody tells you, oh, it's just to up the power, and no, it's internally, it's a different motor. So it's a more sought after production race motor over the regular Hellcat motor. And you're like, well, why are you talking all about that? Well, it's because the Hellcat Redeye motor during the pandemic borderline came non-existent. So the production on these Redeye Hellcats with the Demon motor in them, basically, is far less production than just a regular Hellcat motor. And they raised, I think, the Hellcat motor from 707 to like 714. And so those cars down there are technically either 797 or 808. And if you want to break the ECM, you can make them into the 840. But they're just bulletproof motors. So that's a sought after car in the long run, will always be the Redeye package. And on the Challenger side, you can get the non-wide body, what they call the narrow body, NB, or the wide body. And I like the wide body. A lot of people like the narrow body. But you can get either motor set up in that Demon motor Redeye package, and you cannot get a manual transmission. So in the 714, you can get a manual transmission for the Hellcat. If you go to the Redeye, you cannot get a manual transmission. Dodge's position is that transmission is not going to hold up, so they won't put it in there. I have two. That's the reason I bought these two Hellcat Redeyes a year ago. I pretty much, the most part, a year ago, I bought both these cars. And it's on the what-if factor that eventually I can make some pretty good money out of them. And so, but now with Stellantis maybe reversing course and bringing possibly the baddest ass Mopar performance product ever, I think that's going to change the dynamics somewhat. I think some people are going to probably maybe set it out, and because the word will get out in the streets. So I think a lot of people are getting ready to buy that Hellcat Redeye. Maybe like, I don't know. Let's see what Dodge is bringing. I mean, can you blame a person who's ready to spend $100,000? And the new Dodge Charger is just badass. And then unbeknownst to us, they're behind the scenes of making a CUDA. I mean, so we don't know. I just think next year, and here's the sad part, Dodge, because the UAW has pulled out of the SEMA show and some other shows that would be some reveals of what maybe is coming to us. So, and they're pulling out because of UAW. And here's the UAW that it's all about sales. You have to sell yourself. As I told people, I ran into a really very nice young man yesterday in the parking lot when he saw my Dodge Super B, plumb crazy. He was just really all over that car. And you know what? He came up to me. He's 25 years old. And the Will Smith type of looking individual, really nice young man. And he just comes out of nowhere and starts talking to me. And you know what? He starts talking to me and said, "Do you mentor people?" And I was like, wow. I was like, "No, I don't really do that." I said, "I got a YouTube channel. I try to help others, through some Think and Grow Rich, the power of prayer." And I just said, so we had the longest conversation, 30-minute conversation of just he and I out in the parking lot talking. And he said, "I had a Dodge Charger, 392, and I came to closure. I had to sell it because there's more important things I need to spend my money on to get my career going." And I was like, wow, that's powerful. I said, well, there you go. He's selling something because he wants, and I said, you're a young guy. You're going to have plenty more years to enjoy material things. When I was your age, I didn't have anything close to something like this. So I'm like, you've got plenty of years. Great guy. I think he may have, checked out my channel. And he listened to me. And hopefully my conversation with him is going to help him. And it's just a really, you know what I said? I can tell something about you. Your parents love you. They care about you. And he's like, yes. I said, your mother thinks you're special. He's like, she does. I'm like, wow. Yeah. I mean, I was like, and you can see that. I can see that through people when I talk to people. And so I know it gets a little far-fetched here on my YouTube channel. But the point is, I told him, you yourself, success in life will be through selling yourself. And that's why I was talking about the UAW. The UAW is trying to sell itself on the importance of the big three of what they're going to do for them to continue to be in business and make their record profits. General Motors just posted a $2.82 cent per share increase in value to their stock, and the analysts were at $1.84 stockholder share value for the profitability. General Motors made $14.2 billion. I mean, wow. And this is why this guy Sean Fain is trying to sell the union to the big three, is that they're making too much money and they got to start handing it back. So the latest on the UAW is they're at 23%, and they're so close to 25%. I said from the get-go that if this guy Sean Fain can get everybody at 20%, 25% pay raise, then that guy's done it. And he set the bar so high that all the big three played to that incredibly stupid high number, and they're getting very close. Apparently they're very close, but here's the thing. Here's the breaking news. The Ram truck in Detroit, Michigan, the assembly line yesterday was shut down. So Sean Fain is just, hitting pockets of the manufacturing on all three. It's the first time in the history of UAW of them actually just targeting all three manufacturers, and it's just not one, and just nitpicking one, manufacturer and one facility at a time. So yesterday they closed down one of supposedly Ram's most profitable manufacturing divisions of 6,800 workers came off the assembly line. So what are the dealers going to do for sales? I've said it from day one. UAW is now 6 weeks into their strike. The best thing UAW could do is be at least 8 weeks, if not more, because it's really going to help, I think, the manufacturing side for these big three kind of get back in line, because I think that more than ever, we're all witnessing the sales of these vehicles aren't like they used to be. So like yesterday, I was at the Ram truck dealer, Dodge, Leesburg Dodge, and I've noticed now they've been having these Ram TRX trucks used, sitting on their lots now, going on 3-4 months. Yeah. And this past spring, and even summer, the Ram TRX fixation was still pretty big, but it definitely has changed. So in the automotive side, in these dealerships, the sales has changed. It hasn't like just totally turned off, but it has changed. And sadly, so many people are still fixated on the YouTube channels that it's the pandemic and that everybody and their brother has free money and every brother go out and buys expensive stuff. But no, we're back to pre-pandemic reality. But the other thing is the sales of these vehicles is starting to come back and bite a lot of these banks in the rear because supposedly there's a lot of repossessions. I tell you what, these YouTube channels, it's just like, wow. You just see some of these guys, it's constant. The world is coming to an end. I don't know. All I know is every dealership that's in this immediate area, I haven't seen the lights turn off. I haven't heard of any major layoffs. I mean, I can assure you that some will say, yeah, well, but my sales went down. Yeah, okay, but if you go to pre-pandemic, it's the same story. So the sales, all right. I think I'm kind of wrapping up with that. And so we had the buying conversations yesterday. We got the sales conversations today. And once again, I think that for the UAW, their focal point is on how much money these big CEOs are making and how much money the companies are making. And they just feel like they're not part of what's going on. But at the same time, I've mentioned this, but how long does the record sales continue for the big three, where the fat margins, the overpriced cars in so many aspects, continues on to provide the big three to have the capability to pay big wages. It's going to be very interesting times to see where this all starts to play out. And if the consumers can continue to be sold on paying for what's extremely high priced cars. That's why I want to get my Maroney stickers out, because I want to look at the difference of prices just in the last 8 years and just see them, where we've gone. Like, wow. So anyways, a lot of conversation, a lot of talk. I get all that. And what's going to play out with the gold rush? I don't know. I really don't know at this time. I mean, for me, I'm just always looking for something different, a different flair. And so anyways, leave it at that. Hey, hope everybody has a great day. And yeah, it's a world in a shambles. Yeah, interesting times of that too. We'll let that go. Let's keep the fun on the channel. So everybody, hey, appreciate all the support, nice comments. Really do appreciate that. And share the channel. Hopefully others can watch the channel and have more of an upbeat look to things in life instead of a downbeat look at life. When you watch all the media, it's like, it's the worst. Have a great day. God bless. Stay safe and stay tuned for some more adventures. Look for my Ram short videos. I tried to make a 17-minute video of me through the whole thing yesterday. I could not get that Apple phone to ever produce it on YouTube. It drove me nuts. I gave up. So I had a whole kind of thing of me showing in more depth what's going on with the Ram TRX. Maybe I'll try it again today. Hey, have a great day. Stay safe.